So Godrick the Grafted is likely the first demigod you fought, and he's located in Stormvale Castle, where he wields the Axe of Godrick, capable of unleashing powerful earth-shattering attacks, and a dragon head that spews rains of fire. But how would a Godrick the Grafted cosplay actually work in practice, given the severe limitations on skills, arms, and literal arms available to our character? I'm Bitesized Otaku, and in this video, we'll be attempting the Godrick the Grafted cosplay and seeing whether or not we can further improve this build. But, like the video and give it to me bite-sized. So in order to try and achieve that vanilla Godrick look, the closest I could get was using the Elden Lord crown, Ruler's robe, Malekith's gauntlets, and Banished Knight greaves. This will give us a similar aesthetic with the braids, black gloves and robe, in which Godrick's case is green, but ours will be blue, with green underneath. And this will give us okay defense but pretty low poise at 40, meaning we'll need to space ourselves properly to avoid getting hit. Then for our weapons, we have the Axe of Godrick, which comes with the weapon art, I Command Thee Kneel, which causes 2 shockwaves and then a third, which can be delayed, and with a deceptively large hitbox. Then we have the Grafted Dragon, which is a smaller and less cooler version of Godrick's dragon arm, and this has the weapon art Bear Witness, which can unleash an explosion of fireballs with a small area of effect. We don't have any talismans or spells, and I've opted for these 2 weapons alone, simply because the second axe that Godrick uses isn't actually in the game. This is a shame, because Godrick uses 3 different weapon arts on his single build, excluding his axe, namely Stormblade, Storm Assault, and Storm Caller. Having that second axe could have at least opened up an extra weapon art, likely Stormcaller, which could have spiced up our playstyle. But lastly, I've opted for these stats on the level 137 Vagabond. But how does it play? Well, playing as Godrick is actually quite simple. We have an axe with a brilliant moveset, including a heavy that can come out quite quickly with great range. The damage output is decent, but the real magic comes from the Ash of War, which can delay the first strike to catch enemies at a deceptively long range for brilliant damage. The Grafted Dragon acts as a short range fist, but is more useful for its special attack that can catch enemies at close range with an explosion, followed by falling flames which scatter around the area. This weapon's weapon art can deal brilliant damage if you land the attack at point blank, but it's also useful for damaging enemies with low health, potentially finishing them. This is especially useful in PvE, as the Axe of Godrick only deals decent damage on bosses, but the Grafted Dragon special can deal a large amount of damage when used at close range, besides the fireballs, which tend to be quite weak. But are there any problems? Well, yes, there are quite a few. But the biggest problem is that we're trying to cosplay a character who does not follow the conventional combat rules levied against the Tarnish. For example, outside of the Axe of Godrick, he uses 3 other weapon arts while only wielding 2 weapons, which we couldn't replicate without 3 additional weapons of our own. And unfortunately, it's difficult to find weapons that fit Godrick's style, as he tends to use great axes, meaning that using his full arsenal of abilities will be a massive challenge. In addition, we also lack a useful amount of poise due to most of our armor being cloth, meaning we'll often get staggered out of our attacks even if we try to hyper armor our way through. Our attacks are slow and we lack ranged options, making it tricky to finish off enemies, and of course we can't truly make an authentic Godrick build due to the severe lack of his equipment being available to the player or the ability to have multiple weapon arts on a single weapon. But can we make some adjustments? Yes, we could, but I don't think it's worth doing due to the reasons we previously explored. Whether we opted for Destined Death incantations, as he has the Godskin prayer book in his basement, or just any infusible weapon to slap a storm related weapon art on, we would struggle to keep the build authentic while improving its effectiveness. So instead, I figured that the build will be fine as it is, but with a few talismans equipped to try and boost our capabilities, and maybe rejigging our stats a bit. For the talismans, I've opted to go for the Crimson Amber Medallion +2, the Erdtree Favour +2, Green Turtle Talisman, and the Shard of Alexander, with the following stats on screen, which bumps up the strength and dexterity. But before leaving you with some battles, I think in summary that Godrick is an early game build, which is better suited for PvE than PvP, giving you options for dealing with mobs of enemies and decent damage to bosses, while in PvP, the build's effectiveness is hampered by its lack of hyper armor, poise, and options, but can still work. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course subscribe. This is Bitesized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.